Welcome to Living and Aging with Pride. I'm James Brown, and my guests today are the internationally recognized Dr. Bill Cosgrove and the international, what do you call it when it's out of space? You know, I've got Gary in the house, and this is Mr. Gary Birdsall, who is the president of the South Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, gentlemen. Today we're going to integrate small business with COVID protection and all of that good stuff. So welcome to the show. How are you, Gary?
Hey, I'm doing well this morning. And good morning, Doc. I mean, good afternoon,
Good morning.
Doc.
He said good morning back.
I'll take either.
So that's a good thing. It's kind of the way we talk a little bit. But let me start with you, Gary. You know, we're in South Salt Lake and business is blooming. And what is the chamber doing to really bring the businesses up to point so that they can be more effective economically and help the community thrive?
Well, big question, and I'll try to summarize this and not be too long. I'm going to brag a bit. Next month, I have been with the South Salt Lake Chamber for unbelievably 8 years. And even before this tremendous growth happened, and this city is so much fun to work in. Businesses love it. The mayor and all of her colleagues love it. Police and fire department, they just like working in this city. So that's the base. And yes, South Salt Lake has been discovered. We're no longer, well, in some people's eyes, they don't realize when they drive from Salt Lake to Murray that they've actually passed through a city, South Salt Lake.
Hey.
But the growth is, and I admire the economic and planning division of the city because they've had to do all this in a pandemic mode.
Right.
There are boxes outside the office that said, put this here, this here, this here. And I admire the folks who've been able to deliver on that. A lot of the folks coming in, I'm excited to say there's a new building at 2200 South Main. Companies going in there that two companies that are going to be already agreed to be strong members of ours. But the goal of any chamber is almost in third place networking, but it's helping businesses grow. A lot of businesses do not know the resources available to them, most of them free.
Correct.
We've got exporters, manufacturers in this city, and we make sure they know who is at the World Trade Center and other organizations like that. We're a resource provider. We don't do the heavy lifting of providing information, but we know where to send those folks to.
Well, I beg to differ with you about that because I've watched you maneuver around through the community, and you have an interesting posture about yourself in that you're putting businesses in touch with all the resources, and that is some heavy lifting because a lot of times they don't recognize that. But you're faced with a couple of things here now. One, attracting small business, to nurturing those businesses so they can survive and be a benefit to the community, but also be a benefit to themselves. And the other side of it, you're dealing with a pandemic situation that has caused a lot of people to shut down, close down, and be in the background. How do you deal with that kind of thrust of, I've got to make sure my businesses are thriving and have an opportunity, and at the same time, I've got to make sure my businesses are working safe because their customer is the same people that they have to live with?
Good question. Well, all your questions are good, James. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I and my chamber colleagues, other chambers did the same. From March through really the end of the year, and actually early into this year, we switched gears and we made sure that the businesses were aware of the funding provided by the SBA,
Right,
and the county and the state. A lot of businesses got into the bulk of my time was spent getting people lined up because they didn't know where to go. It was like for a business, it was like drinking from a fire hose. Everyone wants to help, but there are so many resources. Some businesses, I guess for lack of a better term, gave up.
right.
Trying to find where to go, what to do, that type of a thing. So we just shut down networking events because of the pandemic. And we focused on making sure that business A, B, and C knew how to get to their banks, why to get to their banks, and to make sure they were getting the funding that the federal government promised. And that flows through, and it's a combination of, I don't want to forget the county, the city, county, and the state, who are also providing information, because a lot of that money with the huge funding bills, the trillions of dollars of bills, flow to the state. And through organizations at the state level, money feeds down. So it's really just, it's been connecting people with help. And that's been almost a year of our work. We didn't have a banquet last year. We didn't have a golf tournament this year. And we're really wondering if we're going to have one this year. Even though there's an April 10th set date from the governor and legislature, you can take your masks off. I won't get into that. I disagree with that.
Right.
I will. Well, I guess I'll get into that. I disagree with that. You can't legislate the end of a pandemic.
Right.
So I talk to our businesses that are very active with us and say, what do you want? And they're happy with the virtual stuff we're doing now. So I'm not sure when our next main in-person networking event is.
Well, that's a good segue to Dr. Bill Cosgrove, because Doc, I know you've been out there shaking the bushes to make sure that our diverse populations understand the importance of getting vaccinated, but most importantly, understand the factor of wearing a mask and being safe. When you think about the business community whose thrust in life is to be economically strong, and at the same time you're dealing with employees who need to be healthy and safe, and the public who needs to be healthy and safe, what do you find as the primary obstacle in this awareness process? You want to help people to be safe in their business, and you want to help people who need the businesses to be safe as well. What do you think that concept or that idea, that discussion is all about?
Well, with Gary's point, it isn't just, we can't do this like a light switch. You can't say, okay, now we're safe, get it back to normal, or now we're not safe, shut it all down. It has to be more of a dimmer switch. We have to have a graded response. This morning, I read a report from the CDC that was just written this week sometime that talked about one case of a bar that opened up in celebration of the new freedom.
Right.
And 100 people were at their celebration, their reopening celebration, and 39 of them got sick. 47 were sick within a week from COVID. And it just shows that we can't just drop all our protections. We still need to use the mask. We still need to use protections. We still need to be careful, but we can do it in a responsible, careful way of reopening our businesses carefully and reopening our social gatherings carefully. And that way we can sustain the reopening rather than having it, open, shut, open, shut, open, shut, which is just scary and disorganizing to all of our population.
How interesting is all of this? Our medical environment, our health has now become part of our economic health as well. And I think it's a good thing because we're now looking at a broader picture of things that we need to be concerned with. And I agree with you, that concern needs to be continual. Even when we think it's over with, we need to respect what it was, what it is, and continue to try to implement safety procedures so we can stay healthy and safe. But we've got all of this to work into our economics. Are you finding what side of the coin is getting scary for you? And I know you're not a scary kind of guy, Doc. So, but what's the most impactful thing from your perspective?
Well, getting back to the reasons why people choose to do what they do, I think everybody is fatigued. Living in fear is just exhausting. And so people who are in fear tend to switch on sort of a pretend bravery and then go right to bravado and make sort of careless, irrational decisions. And I think we just need to help ourselves and help our families and help our businesses to be brave enough to be cautious. and
Right.
careful enough to have a plan and live the plan and work the plan. And one of the things that I think this year of devastation has shown businesses how much they depend on their communities,
Right.
how much they depend on the goodwill of their communities, and how much they depend on the goodwill of their employees. And so again, we have this golden opportunity to have it bring us all together. And yet fear gets in the way, and we make
Right.
dumb decisions when we're fearful.
You know, and Gary, you're playing a much larger role than you tend to allude to with respect to small business. You're helping to reshape the look, the mindset of South Salt Lake, and it's no longer a home of industry. It's a home of small entrepreneurial businesses. It's a community that's filled with fun and education and information and economic growth. Has this pandemic really changed how you think about what you see these small businesses doing? And he's thinking, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I am. It's usually I just I'm safer when I pause for a minute before I jump into a question, because I sometimes don't do that. Well, certainly it has.
Yes.
I'm a country western music guy, and a refrain from a Tim McGraw song is "Always be humble and kind."
Absolutely.
What concerns me, well, really starting it, well, it's already happened. We see it on national news. Is beginning on April 10th. Is that I feel for the business owners
Right.
and the folks who work in those businesses, especially service industries, who haven't been vaccinated yet. And potential customers go to those businesses and give them, raise all sorts of cane,
Right.
because those folks are wanting them to wear a mask. And so yes, the business is open. My concern is, and I'm not sure what kind of advice I can offer to a business, but the governor, as of April 10th, has mandated
Right.
that masks must be worn if you work for state government. And I just disagree with trying to, and I'm not speaking on behalf of my board. I think some of them agree with this statement, but I've already said it before, you can't mandate the end of a pandemic.
Right.
So anything I can do to help businesses, especially dealing with bad behavior from their customers, there are resources on that the Salt Lake Chamber puts out and others put out on coaching businesses
Right.
what to do. And I want to, when a business owner calls me and says, Gary, I don't know how to handle this. My employees don't know how to handle this. And I can bring some assets to the table that can help, but not stop. That's probably my biggest concern is, be humble and kind. Not everybody wants to do that.
Right.
So I'm kind of rambling a bit here, but
You're not at all.
I will end with that. That's probably the biggest demand of, hey, Gary, what can I do? You have some advice? Where can I go? On business owners whose employees are being treated unfairly.
Right. So we need to pay attention to each other. We need to take care of each other. And the best thing we can do is to stay healthy and happy. Wellness lends itself to wealth and health. Boy, that kind of rhyme. What you think about that? Nice little segue to that, In closing this conversation, I'm going to ask you, Bill, to give us some words of wisdom of what you think, of how you feel about what small businesses need to be doing.
It's a tough one because the fact that there still is, but we had a state order to require masks, made their job a little bit easier. They didn't have to be the one to initiate it. They didn't have to, individually in isolation enforce it and that rule in their store or their business. And And without that, they still have to protect their customers. They still have to protect their workers. And so, as James' title, respect, I think the sign at the front door isn't, you have to have a mask. The sign in the front door should say, please show respect to our employees by wearing a mask.
Right.
Because I think, if we tell people to do stuff, they bridle, they get their backs up, they try to push back. And if we ask for their help, I think we'll get farther. So I would, and again, every person in our community wants respect. So I think the sign on the front door should be, please show respect for our staff by wearing your mask.
What you give is what you get. So if you want respect, you give respect, and it comes back. Go ahead.
Bill, are you okay? Well, you need to know all my medical care is done at the VA, and every doctor I deal with, I just call them doc. Are you okay with that?
I'm quite okay with that.
Okay. Well, what I'm, with your permission, I'm going to, other people may have said what you said, but when businesses come to me, I'm going to quote what you said about what should be on the door to hopefully make people understand to be humble and kind and respect those people, and wear a mask, and not the put a mask on before you come in, damn it. That doesn't work.
I love the way he accentuated that with damn it. You know what I mean? And I just want to clue him in on, I call him bruh, homeboy, we're connected. You know what I mean? we're part of the same framework, Hey, gentlemen, before we go, I'm going to ask you, Gary, if I want to join the Chamber of Commerce, what do I need to do? South Salt Lake Chamber.
Well, the fastest, well, first of all, we would love to have you join the chamber. And some people actually join online, but what I prefer is for a company, and this happens most often, 90% of the time, is that my email is gary@sslchamber.com. Our office number is 801-466-3377. It's fun to have companies reach out to me and say, I'm interested in joining the chamber. We can begin a dialogue. It's rare that I talk somebody out of joining, but I have, going back to chamber days before the last 8 years,
Right.
because people come to me and it's all about them. What do I get? It's not what can I get when I bring myself and then help the chamber grow. So, but that's my email, that's my phone number, and I'd rather you not do it online because I'd like to have a dialogue.
So it's all about building. And I think, speaking in behalf of the chamber, the chambers of commerce, this particular chamber of commerce, it's about building a substantive community of business people, like-minded people working together to create economic growth for the total community. So it's all inclusive. It's all about everybody, not just about me. It's about everybody. And I think that's the message we need to pass on to our fellow citizens. If we start thinking about each other, we will find that we won't suffer individually because we are collectively thinking about how we help each other. Hey, I want to thank both of you for joining me in this little room of, I won't even say that, but I had a weird little thought, but I'll leave it alone. But thank you very much, Gary. Much success with the chamber. It's a great chamber. And Doc, I'll see you when we're flying high. Nobody knows we fly high, and it's getting that time of the year. I go up in the plane and he's up there with me and he says, take over. And I go, what? So he's teaching me how to fly, and it's been fun experience. But thank you very much,
My
Gary.
pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Cosgrove. Appreciate it. We'll talk again very soon.
And I look forward to meeting you in person, Doc.
I look forward to meeting you too. Be well, be safe, wear your mask.
Thank you, James.
Hey, my pleasure, my brother, again and again and again. I'm James Brown, and you're not. This is Living and Aging with Pride, and that's what I'm talking about.